They say it's hard to go back. They say it's very hard to win it all. And sometimes some people say it's harder to get there and not make it. To those that won the Super Bowl and those that make it, they are met with the question of, can you go there again? Can you get there again? And then there are some teams that felt like you were supposed to be there. And then they took a detour right off the path and exited very quickly. That's the story of today's team. Hey everybody, I'm Cortez and I'm a critic, and welcome back. We are almost at the end of our NFC North 2025 draft recap, and today we're talking about the team that everyone thought, including myself, was probably destined for Super Bowl in the Detroit Lions. Because I'm not going to say the window is closing, but there is a major crowd behind you, and they only look like they're getting better. So let's see what you guys did in this offseason, because I'm telling you, it feels a little bit more difficult and a little bit more stressful than it was last year. So let's talk about the Detroit Lions and their 2025 draft class. So let's be honest, the Detroit Lions defense was depleted with injuries. It started with Hutchinson and just never stopped. There were players that were involved in the Lions defense that just couldn't help but be like, wow, that guy's still playing. As disrespectful as that sound, it kind of was. And some of them I was like, wow, I remember him on that team when he was great. And then he went around the league with different teams. And the offense of the Lions felt like it was the only thing that was going to make him survive. And then they played Commanders, and they literally had, at the worst time, their worst game. So now we're back here again, and I think everyone is kind of thinking, one, don't do that again, and two, let's double up our defense just in case. Now, the chances that this whole defensive collapse is going to happen back-to-back, very, very rare. But if it does, it's one of the things where it's like, you can't fix it, and it's going to sink. So, being so highly, had to make decisions. Well, with the 28th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions selected Tyler Williams, defensive tackle, Ohio State. Yes, Hutchinson's newest teammate is a Buckeye. Cool. Let them be roommates. Let them be bunk buddies. Ooh, be careful. During training camp, let them become friends. So besides that, I honestly was surprised they didn't go edge or pass rusher first. It's a 20th overall pick. There were still some good edge and defensive end that were still available. I'm surprised they went interior side first, especially when Tyler, unless I missed, did I miss? Okay, my bot is Tyleik Williams. My apologies. Tyleik Williams. I guess when I typed it in, the thing auto-corrected me. Tyleik Williams. Yeah. Screw you, auto-correcting. So like I was saying, Tyleik Williams, defensive tackle from Ohio State, 20th overall pick. He is currently viewed as a backup, as the right defense tackle behind DJ Reader in this 4-3 defense. Like I said before, I thought they were going to go pass rushers. They got Marcus Davenport, which I kind of felt like is not, I don't know. Marcus Davenport, I feel like is kind of in a similar boat as Chase Young, another defensive end that was highly viewed, highly admired, highly viewed, a first-round pick type player. And now he is traveling the world of NFL teams. Because the biggest thing is that Hutchinson was such a dynamic force, one by himself, that I kind of felt like, don't you want another young defensive end to go with him, so therefore you guys can, sack quarterbacks together and have basically two potential defensive end with 20 sacks? I thought maybe that's the way to go, but they went interior, I guess, because they want to stop the run more than anything else, especially with everyone else in their own division has a very strong running threat. Not to mention the NFC has a very strong running threat with Philadelphia, Tampa. I can't think you kind of want to stop the run too a little bit here in your own division, your own conference. I get that. But even then, he's not even projected to be a day one starter. Rotation at best. I don't know. I can't help but wonder, were they considering Mike Green from Marshall? Because remember, Mike Green wasn't picked up yet. Mike Green went on to later rounds to Baltimore of all teams. So I don't know. This pick feels a little bit kind of mid, kind of like, oh, I guess, sure. So I don't know. Detroit Lion fans out there, how do you guys feel about this pick? This pick just feels a little bit like, I don't know. Not the splash I kind of thought they were going to go with. Sorry. All right, moving on. Going to the second round. With the 57th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions selected Tate Ratledge, offensive guard, UGA. Now I got to make sure all my, picks are there. As we all know, the Lions did lose one of their offensive linemen. He went to retirement. I think Ragnar. I can't pronounce him, but you know what I'm talking about. Ragnar. Yes, he called it, so I'm sure that kind of put them in a situation of, okay, we get some jerks at the offensive line. And because I'm stubborn, I kind of want to make sure Ragnar. Yes, there you go, Ragnar. That I can't, and plus he was the first round pick in 2018, and also he was 29, which is not the first time we've seen a good offensive lineman retire before 30. My guess is he probably felt like I accomplished enough and that's it. It would really suck though, the Lions win the Super Bowl next year. I know a lot of players that left the team, they, for whatever reason, then they go on to win the next year. Kind of sucks sometimes. But anyway, going to the future of the Lions here. They currently have Tate as the starting right guard. So there you go. We have addressed the offensive lineman need, and we've addressed it by drafting a starter in day one. Congratulations. Good job, Lions. Good job. I never really felt the Lions' offensive line was a problem. I feel the Detroit Lions' offensive line was probably like top 5, top 3 type of offensive line. They were really good. I mean, remember, this is a team that had Jared Goff had more touchdown passes than incompletions. Like, there were times where Jared Goff was like 18 of 16 with 290 yards and 3 touchdowns. And there were times where, like, in the first half, he was 16 of 16 for 210 and 2 touchdowns. Like, it was unreal that Jared Goff had protection to throw those accurate passes consistently and to have that many yards and to have that QBR rating so high. That's why I kind of felt like, well, they had to address the offensive line. But then it just feels like the Tate felt more of a need, while the Williams felt more of a desire. So you addressed the interior side of both sides of the line of scrimmage, which, let's be real, that kind of definitely screamed what the Lions want to do. I mean, Campbell's persona as a head coach just screams, I want rugged, burly giants inside, slamming each other interior wide. Like he just looks like a guy that will play backyard football and get cut up and covered in mud and be like, beers. Like he's just that type of guy, and I feel like that's why a lot of people like him and his personality, but also are willing to go through a wall for him because of that. So they address the interior side of both sides of the line of scrimmage. One makes sense, and one just feels like question marks for me, guys. I'm sorry, question marks for me. Then we go to the third round. With the 70th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions selected Isaac Tisala, wide receiver, Arkansas. Besides Amon-Ra St. Brown, how does people feel about the receiving core of the Lions? Jameson Williams, I feel like he's a home run hitter, and sometimes that's it. And Tim Patrick redeemed his career, similar to what Sterling Shepard did for the Buccaneers, just wandering around the NFL, found his mark in Detroit, and he's thrived in Detroit. Besides that, the rest of the receiving core of the Detroit Lions, a bunch of players that have been underdeveloped traveling the NFL circuit, trying to find a name for themselves. And a lot of it, let's be real, Amani St. Brown is so dynamic in space that a lot of the offense revolve around him. And sometimes it's not designed that way, just that he's open. And Jared Goff throws to him. Also, Sam Laporta, the tight end, also gets a lot of attention, and Brock Wright, the backup tight end, gets them. But then again, they have their knuckles and sonic rushing attacks. So the Lions have a lot of players that are not wide receivers that are making such drastic impacts on the offense that you just kind of look back and be like, yeah, our receiving core is kind of weak compared to everyone else's. I mean, we got probably one of the best dynamic receivers in space. We got a home run hitter. And we got a veteran who just traveled across our line. Nothing here really screams yay. So honestly, Isaac is coming into it, and don't be surprised if he gets the third receiving spot. That somehow he beats out Tim Patrick, or he starts getting more reps than Tim Patrick. Don't be surprised by that. And a lot of it, and he's on a good offense to do it. Strong offensive line, good rushing attack. Just got to make the catches, and he'll make plays. To me, this felt more of, okay, we address inside. Let's get some quality on the outside, because like I said, everyone else has at least a 1-2 punch. The running back and the tight end. The receiving core has St. Brown and maybe Williams if he does, but I would view him as speed demon. Get the ball on a post route, takes off 75 yards. He has that speed. I just don't see Williams as the over across the middle, 5-10 yard as consistently as the others. Plus, I feel like Sam Laporta and St. Brown get those catches anyway. Williams is a home run hitter, and he can't do it. Then he doesn't do singles. So to me, this is more of a let's get more depth. Let's get more quality. Let's get young. Let's see. Then 100 picks later, in the 5th round, with the 171st pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions selected Miles Frazier, offensive guard, LSU. Okay. So, they currently have our friend Frazier, all the way in the 4th string side of the right guard. I mean, yeah, they have the rookie Tate from Georgia, and they got Frazier, according to ESPN depth chart, projectly as of right now, the 4th stringer. Right guard. We'll just have to wait and see what training camp does for him, because for all we know, he might be moved to the left guard, or might be moved somewhere else. But like I said, ESPN mock depth chart is just that. It's projection. It's mocking what it could be. We have not seen training camp. We have not seen preseason. Of course, that will change down the line. I just find it very weird that the Lions would draft an offensive lineman and he is being projected already as the 4th stringer. That feels like a wasted pick. So to me, Frazier probably moved to the other opposite side, or probably has to find a place to go. But right now, he's on the right side offensive guard. He's on the right side guard. The same place where a rookie before him from Georgia is currently being projected as a day 1 starter. So we'll see what preseason does. We'll see what the training camp does. But yeah, ESPN mock draft that's what it is. They're just projecting, maybes. And we all know that their accuracy is not as great without actual real life experience yet. So now we're just going to say, okay, so ESPN finds you as a 4th stringer, and I just can't help but feel like I don't believe that's true. So we won't be surprised if he might be moved to left guard. He might get moved to left guard and be the backup there. Who knows? But right now, they addressed the interior offensive line, and yeah, they did that. Then we go to the 6th round. With the 196th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions get Ahmad Hassan, edge, Boise State. Hassani, edge, Boise State. Now, I remember the Boise State Broncos' fantastic season. And before people start fighting and saying they don't deserve to be in the playoff, blah, 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 I'd be like, okay, if you want to keep beating up literally that dead horse, go ahead. But I felt like Boise was led by Ashton Genty, and the Boise State defense was clearly meant to be don't fuck it up. Sorry. But on the games I did watch of Boise, I was impressed with Ahmad. On how he was disruptive, how I felt like he was probably more athletic. He probably could have played at a much bigger school if he probably wanted to, but whatever reason, he went to Boise. He played bigger than probably what the university is viewed, because the Mountain West Conference is always viewed as, oh, you're so good, but not good enough. We're the Big Ten. We're the SEC. We're the ACC. No. I feel like this guy played with a chip on his shoulder, and he was just as valuable to the Boise State success with that defensive side as Ashton Genty was on the offense. I'm not going to say that he carried the defense, but he did do his job and did his job very well to keep Boise State in competitive natures. Even in games they didn't win, he was still competitive. So to me, this is the kind of player that I can feel like is... Do not be surprised if he makes splashes. Do not be surprised if he comes in and makes some noise. They currently have him on the right side behind Muhammad and Davenport. Like I said, Davenport, I'm kind of mixed on it. And Alquan Muhammad, another player that I'm just kind of like not solidified with him right now. So do not be surprised if down the season, hopefully not based on injuries, but if he gets into the rotation with the starters, like in the first month of the season, and he gets like a sack and a half, early on in the first 4 or 5 games, don't be surprised. I feel like he will eventually pull a Yaya Diaby type kind of guy, that he would probably not get a lot of attention, and then when he gets the attention, he starts making some noise to the point that by the last 10 games of the season, the last 8 games of the season, he is either a starter or he is in the major rotation side cycle. So to me, this feels like the shiny diamond of the Lions, and I'm going to say this could be a steal if he develops well. He's playing in a dome, so don't worry about fighting the elements too much. And well, he's used to playing in the cold. So Green Bay, Chicago won't be that much of a trip. So could be a steal for the Lions. I'm feeling it anyway. Then we go to the 7th round with the 230th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. The Detroit Lions selected Dan Jackson Dan Jackson, safety, Georgia. So we just get another Georgia player, why don't we? Also, the second player, the next player is also a Georgia player. Spoilers. But Dan Jackson. Now, we all know that they got Terrion Arnold. They got Brian Branch. So they got 2 starters, secondary back to back, all from the SEC. Major coincidence there. Kind of funny, but still major coincidence. Carl Day was Auburn, but he was a Buccaneer trade, and he broke his jaw, and sadly, he suffered the realms of defensive injury plague the rest of the Lions defense did. So Dan Jackson, according to this, they have him as the backup to Brian Branch, and I can't help but feel like that is meant for rotation and potentially scheme. I mean, they do have a nickelback setup formation. I always feel like sometimes there are some players on the defensive back side that could be viewed as nickelback, and then they turn into either full-blown corners or full-blown safeties, depends how the season goes. But Dan Jackson coming in, already being viewed as a backup to already a proven player, this feels more as development, this feels more rotation, and potentially, depends on scheme, could be come in, depends on the scheme setup formation. So this feels like the Lions kind of want to get an insurance in case injuries happen in the secondary again. But also, if it doesn't work out, you got 2 dynamite safeties, and that might be something that it might be good for the Lions defensively. Because remember, Glenn's gone too. Remember, their offensive defensive corners are gone. So a lot of these picks on offensive defensive side are probably based on the new coaching staff that they have, trying to develop their own scheme, but also trying to get what Campbell is trying to solidify in Detroit. Because let's be real, the pressure for Detroit is literally on how much is Campbell's coaching staff and how much is the coaching staff themselves that made the Lions as good as they were last year. I'm hoping there's not a drop-off, but I feel like we can't ignore there might be a drop-off. So all these players picked up, probably more of a I see potential. I see star power. I see something that's worth addressing. And honestly, this feels more of a he could be a star. We don't have to force him into it. And then with the last pick, still in the 7th round, with the 244th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions selected Dominic Lovett, wide receiver, UGA. Like I said, they went 3 UGA players and like 5 SEC players. Pure coincidence, but I was like those like weird coincidence we just noticed, like, SEC went all over our team. I mean, people that dress up Philadelphia, and they got a bunch of Georgia players on the defensive side. Even call it trying to reassemble the national championship Georgia team. But Dominic Lovett coming into the Lions, I can't help but feel the same thing I feel about with Isaac that was drafted by Arkansas earlier, is that the Lions don't really have a solid 3 receiver they feel comfortable with. I feel they have a solid number 1 and a potential number 2, and a number 3, they're just thinking, Tim Patrick has played in the league for a while, guys. We need someone to step up, and we kind of need a little bit more of a receiver room of quality than just quantity. So who knows? Isaac and Dominic could come in and they could become the new 3 and 4, or the new 2 and 3, who knows, to join another Alabama wide receiver in Williams. So we'll see. To me, this is more of a receiving core is kind of depleted. The receiver core is kind of weak. The quality may not be to what we kind of desire, and why not? Why not? Wide receiver is always good having plentifulness, and we have Jared Goff in there. Could be opportunities, and who knows? St. Brown wasn't viewed as greatly in his early career either way. He developed over time to the point where now he's a star player. He has commercials and everything. So maybe they're trying to find that same type of spark with these wide receivers. And I feel like that's, with Jared Goff, that's probably what the way they want to do it. They want to get more receivers to add to quality versus quantity. So that all of the Lions pick. The grade I give it, like I said, the Williams pick, defensive tackle, is still kind of like bugging me. The 2 coordinators are gone that basically were helping his team moving forward. I can't say they're better because I really, none of this player here really felt like, oh my God, thank God we got you. Everyone just felt like, we got you. Good. I'm going to say they're better, especially on the defensive side with the defensive players that they got. It kind of felt like they needed to address in fear of another defensive plague injury bug. So I'm going to say they're better. But they're still contenders in my book, so I'm gonna give them contenders. I'm changing it. Contenders to me. Contenders to me. Jared Goff's still there. Running back's still there. There's too many core players that were valuable last year that are still there. So, and I do not see a major letdown to the point of them being like barely getting 10 wins. I still believe this team could potentially still be a 13-win team this year. I think it'll be a lot more difficult because everyone else in the NFC North seems better, but I feel like they are still contenders. They are better, but they're still contenders, if that makes any sense. And the player I'm most excited about is Hassani, the edge from Boise State. I'm telling you, there's something about him that just makes me feel like he needs to polish. He's very raw. He has potential. And like I said, do not be surprised if by week 10 he's the starter, or at least number 2, getting massive playing time and making plays. Because we all know that Aiden can do it himself, but when he got hurt on a play that looked like a routine sack, boy, did I feel like that defense went from an A+ down to a B- like that. So, like I said, the Boise guy is my guy that I feel like he's going to be the diamond in the rough, and he's the one I'm most excited about, because I believe if he thrives to the potential I believe he's going to be, that's going to be proven more on the Lions front office getting quality players from the places that most people don't think of or don't think highly of. So that is the Lions. We are down to one last team, and we're going to the Purple People Eaters of Minnesota. They have probably the biggest of all teams in the NFC North with a whole new quarterback, even though they did draft him first round, and yeah. So we'll see what the Minnesota Vikings do next time, as we will conclude the NFC North and talk about the Vikings of Minnesota. But until then, I'm Cortez, and I'm a critic. Thank you so very much for watching.